They shouldered the children and our packages, and in a triumphant procession, cheered by so much kindness, we climbed up the village street, Antonio at the head, with Donata, their baby, on his shoulder. Afterwards, she wrote, "Never was there a more touching welcome." The story of Iris Origo, the foreign Marquesa, who was so brave and so generous to the people of her adopted country, was given a commensurately warm welcome by readers all over the English-speaking world. That story is true, but it shows only one aspect of the colourful life and complex personality of Iris Origo. In wartime, she was a kind of Mother Courage, but she was also a sophisticated and cosmopolitan woman with a fierce intellect. The diarist, Frances Partridge, met her when she was a 21-year-old bride. So slight, like a flame, very delicate, almost like a Botticelli, with a very quick voice and a mind as quick, running from one thing to another, and alarming because so clever. A few years later, in 1935, Origo was in London again with her beau of the moment, the novelist Leo Myers, and there she met Virginia Woolf. Woolf describes her. "She is tremulous, nervous, stammers a little, but honest-eyed, very blue-eyed. She's clean and picks her feet up." First impressions were good enough for the Woolfs to invite Origo to dinner, and Virginia again noted that Iris was honest, genuine, as well as being intelligent. She had these sterling qualities, and she glittered as well. She was very well connected and very well dressed. "I like her bird of paradise flight through the gay world," wrote Woolf, "a long green feather in her hat." Another friend wrote, "It was impossible not to be excited by Iris. She was technically on fire." This vivid bird of passage had led a cosmopolitan and privileged life. Her mother, Sybil, was the daughter of the Anglo-Irish peer, the Earl of Desert. Her father's family were rich Americans. Their fortune came from railroads, shipping and sugar beet. They spent it on philanthropy, on being among the founders of the New York Public Library, on their houses on Madison Avenue and Long Island, and a box at the Metropolitan Opera. Moving from one grand family home to another, Iris grew up knowing she was, in many ways, exceptionally fortunate. No amount of money or social position, though, could protect her from loss. Within weeks of her birth, her father, Bayard Cutting, had his first hemorrhage. Throughout her early childhood, Iris and her parents traversed the globe in search of treatment for his tuberculosis, or failing that, at least a climate that might alleviate it. They tried California, they tried Switzerland, they tried various Italian resorts by the sea or in the mountains. They were in Egypt when, just short of his 30th birthday, he died. Iris, whom he dotingly called Bullet Head or Fatty, was 7. 60 years later, she wrote that her father's death was one of the 2 most significant events of her life, and that there is no greater grief than that of parting. Before he died, Bayard had made plans for her. His last letter to Sybil alludes to the objections his family had made to his marrying an Englishwoman, and goes on to say he wants Iris to grow up free from all this national feeling which makes people so unhappy. Bring her up somewhere where she does not belong, then she can't have it. Italy, he suggested, would be best. There she could become cosmopolitan deep down, and when the time came, be free to love and marry anyone she likes of any country without its being difficult. Sybil complied. Bayard had left her rich. She rented and subsequently bought the Villa Medici in the hills above Florence, and there, in a house built by Michelozzo for Cosimo di Medici and described by Vasari as a magnificent and noble palace, Iris grew up. As the only child of an eccentric and hypochondriac mother, she didn't have the easiest adolescence, but it was a mind-broadening one. Her mother, reclining on a sofa in a fortuney tea gown, would read poetry aloud to her, or, when feeling more energetic, would drag her along on excursions.